this in mind, we put forth the following 6 recommendations to enhance the role of Indigenous youth in decision-making. First, it is imperative that Indigenous youth have exposure to decision-making processes and social mechanisms in order to encourage advocacy work at local, national, and international levels. To help realize this goal, we call for the creation of UN Indigenous Fellowship Programs in all branches of the United Nations Specialized Agencies, Programs, and Funds. Second, we request a study on the determinants of health of Indigenous youth. Indigenous youth worldwide are among the greatest risks to suffer from substance abuse problems, high risk of suicide, nutrition-related ailments, and many other conditions that limit their capacity. Thus, it is important to identify the major determinants of health affecting Indigenous youth and find a means of response that is effective, holistic, preventative, and sustainable. Third, to empower future generations, we request a study of the successes and challenges facing Indigenous youth in leadership positions in various aspects of society. 4. Climate change and its impact on Indigenous homelands threatens the livelihood of Indigenous peoples worldwide. Youth face the possibility of being forced into cities where their traditions are not promoted and thus risk being severed from their Indigenous identity. We ask that this expert mechanism carry out a series of workshops to analyze the impact of climate change on Indigenous culture and identity in all 7 regions of the Indigenous world. 5. Many factors affecting Indigenous people's livelihoods are overlapping. Therefore, we request a roundtable discussion among special rapporteurs from different mandate areas to look at collective impact on Indigenous communities with a focus on youth in particular. And finally, we request a follow-up on the previous EMRIP session on education. Education is tied to capacity building, and we must ensure the measures implemented are sustainable and effective. We also request the expert mechanism keep in mind that a distinction exists between participation and decision-making. Participation itself does not guarantee Indigenous people's voices are being taken into consideration. In conclusion, we feel these recommendations will facilitate the role of Indigenous youth in decision-making, and we hope to see EMRIP include the place of youth in future studies. Thank you.